Good afternoon. Welcome to Current Affairs. Almost every country in the world is a sovereign nation, and it is a responsibility of that particular country to respect and protect its sovereignty. So, if some other country intrudes into the internal affairs of any other nation, that nation will react. India is a sovereign nation, and similarly, there are so many other countries that are sovereign in the world. So, the present issue that is related to DOKLAM, what exactly is this? So, this is an area that is located in the tri junction where India, Bhutan, and China, in the sense that is a Tibet that meets. So, what exactly is this Tibet? First of all, let's try to understand. So in Tibet, you have autonomous government, but overall control is exercised by China. And this autonomous government is headed by a chairman, but everything will be decided by China here. So that is the reason why China claims its sovereignty over the Tibetan plateau also. So obviously what will happen? So it has every right to enter into that area, and it has every right to construct or do anything. But the point is that, so the area what we are discussing now, the DOKLAM standoff today, so that is the area actually does not belong to China or Bhutan. Of course, India has no link with that in reality. So, but that is an area, so which is considered to be an understandable area between China and Bhutan. And the agreement is that we need to maintain, we in the sense China and Bhutan have to maintain status quo with respect to this DOKLAM. And with respect to the relations between India and Bhutan, so the friendly ties are very, very strong. Since beginning, India has supported Bhutan like anything. And the hydro electric projects that are present in Bhutan, that is considered to be the biggest revenue generating area for Bhutan, and those power projects have been constructed in Bhutan with the support of India. And since beginning, this is what is happening. But otherwise, if you look at Bhutan, it's a very small nation, it's a very weak nation. On one side it has China, on the other side it has India. So now the issue is related to, since beginning, Bhutan does not have cordial relations with China, but Bhutan has cordial relations with India. So now what exactly happened? China wanted to construct a road in this DOKLAM region. And I'll show you the picture now. You will understand where exactly it is located. And that DOKLAM area, so it is in the very, very nearer to our Siliguri corridor. So hope you know this India map very clearly. If you look at West Bengal, in West Bengal, if you travel towards the north and if you want to reach a northeastern part of India, at that particular, this curve, you will find Siliguri, considered to be one of the very, very, very important areas for India. And that area will connect rest of the India with the northeast. And that particular road you can see in the form of a small curve, that is considered to be, this is chicken neck. So that is a very small area. And if China started constructing road in that particular area, obviously Indian security is threatened. So obviously India has to go forward to protect itself. Already since beginning, we have these disputes, border disputes with China. That is the reason why, so there was a war in the year 1962 also. Let's say maybe in the Aksai Chin region, or maybe in this Arunachal Pradesh. China claims that that area so belongs to that country. So, but in reality, that area belongs to India. Apart from this, China wants to rise as a very superpower in the Asian continent. That is the reason why it started supporting Sri Lanka, and Chinese nuclear submarines, they traveled towards Sri Lanka. You know the location of Sri Lanka, so very, very near to India. Already there is a problem between India and China in the northern region and this northeastern region. And at the same time, the presence of Chinese nuclear submarines in the Indian Ocean, very near to Indian border, very near to Sri Lanka, that always a big threat to India. And very recently also we understood that the Gwadar port that has been developed in the Pakistan, there very silently some nuclear submarines have reached. Right. So if you can look at the southern part of the southernmost part of Pakistan, you can see Gwadar port, and that port has been developed by China. And now there is a presence of nuclear submarines over there. Obviously, meaning is simple. If you look at all the steps very clearly, China wants to tighten its strength across this India, around the India. So obviously, what will happen? Indian security is threatened. India has to take certain steps. So when all these things are going on, Arunachal Pradesh issue is there, Aksai Chin is there, and near to Sri Lanka, you have your nuclear submarines, and near to Gwadar port in the extreme south of Pakistan, right, very near to India. So you have the presence of your nuclear submarines. And now again it is trying to construct the road. So in this nearest vicinity to India, obviously India has to raise the voice. That is the reason why India stepped into that particular area, and Indian soldiers have physically stopped the Chinese from constructing the roads. And since that time, the standoff is going on. So this is the basic issue with relation to this standoff of DOKLAM. But what exactly is the problem, and to whom we have to point out the fingers? Since Indian security is important for us, India has every right to stop it. But why India stepped into some other territory? So that is the point. But the point is that India, because of its close relations with Bhutan, since beginning, India is supporting Bhutan. So it is the responsibility of India to protect its sovereignty. It's also the responsibility since beginning for India to protect the sovereignty of Bhutan. That is the reason why it has stepped in. Meaning is simple, it is a clear-cut violation on the part of the China, in fact. Clear. And when the agreement is there between Bhutan and China, that agreement took place in the year 1988 and 1998. And you need to maintain the status quo. Why are you not maintaining the status quo? That, and on one side China is threatening India that Indian army, Indian soldiers must, they must be withdrawn from that area. And yesterday, if you observe very clearly, Chinese media has announced that Indian troops are withdrawing from this region, right? But in reality, the Ministry of External Affairs made it very, very clear that Indian army is very much present over there, and Chinese troops and Indian troops, so they have established their tents and they are staying over there. Of course, there is no possibility of immediate war, but this is not at all a small issue, and it has to be addressed at the earliest. Right, that is the reason why. So Indian national security advisor and the national security advisor of China, so the talks are going on. And in the recent G20 summit also, Indian Prime Minister spoke to the President of China. So like this, it is happening. So this issue has to be settled diplomatically, right? So going for a military war will not be a solution. But what are all the disputes that are present? These disputes must be settled at the earliest, right? So this is the overall information that is related to DOKLAM. So now I'll show you the document. Hope I remember one image of DOKLAM I have shown you in one of the previous classes. Once again, I'll show it to you. Look at this. So you can make out very clearly. So this is Indian region, Sikkim, and Bhutan. You can see in wheat color, right? And in between these two, you have Chumbi Valley. So that's a part of Tibetan Plateau. And you can see DOKLAM very clearly. And from Nathula Pass to Doklam, it is 15 kilometers. Have a look at this. So this is the basic area, right? So here you can see Siliguri also. So this is very strategic area, and this passage that is going towards the northeast. So this is a very narrow passage. So this is called Chicken Neck. So this is the part that connects northeast to the rest of India. Now I'm going further. Just a moment. Yes, now have a look at this. Look at this. So this Doklam is a narrow plateau lying in the tri-junction region of Bhutan, China, and India. It is situated roughly 15 kilometers southeast of Nathula Pass. And please make a note. So this is one possible question. Many times it was asked. Since it is very much there in the news, again it may be a question. This pass connects Sikkim with Tibet, and Doklam borders the Chumbi Valley on the south. Look at this. On the western edge of Doklam Plateau is DOKLAM. Just a moment, have a look at this. Sura. Right, this is DOKLAM. So this is connecting the Indian state of Sikkim with either Tibet in China, according to numerous Chinese government statements. Meaning is simple. China claims that Tibet is a part of China. Right, and in Tibet, the people, so they talk in terms of the sovereignty. Right, in fact, Dalai Lama belongs to this place, and he started fighting for the sovereignty from China. And of course, so he fled from Tibet, and now he's taking the shelter in India, and that is located very much in Dharmashala, that's in Himachal Pradesh. Right, and maps are linking Sikkim and the western Bhutan according to equally numerous maps and statements from Bhutan and Indian government. Meaning is simple. China claims something and Bhutan and India claims something. So, but if you go back to the year 1890, the Anglo-Chinese treaty was signed between British Commissioner A.W. Paul and the Chinese Commissioner Ho Chong Zheng to negotiate trade relations and demarcate boundary along the Chumbi Valley. Right? Just now I have shown you where exactly the Chumbi Valley is located. Right, and towards the south of this Chumbi Valley, you have this junction, and it is called Doklam. In fact, this when Jawaharlal Nehru was the Prime Minister of India, it happened in the year 1958. So he traveled to Sikkim, and from Sikkim, he again traveled to Bhutan. So during that time, so he crossed this Tibet. So he entered into Tibet, and from there again he entered into Bhutan. So during that time, Srimati Indira Gandhi was also there along with her father, Shri Jawaharlal Nehru. So during that time, generally what will happen, if any important person, rather head of the nation, real head of the nation, so whenever you enter into some other country's territory, lots of honor will be provided. And lots of honor was provided to Shri Jawaharlal Nehru by Chinese government when he entered into Tibetan Plateau. And from there he entered into Bhutan. Right. So during the time, so he traveled by this horse. He also traveled by these jeeps and cars too for longer distance. Right. So now the facilities are different. At the time these facilities were not there, but somehow he traveled and he reached Bhutan, and he assured Bhutan very clearly, saying that just because India is a very large and powerful country, it does not mean that the India will be exercising complete control over Bhutan, and India will support the sovereignty of Bhutan. And that assurance from India has strengthened the morale of Bhutan. So since that particular time, the ties between India and Bhutan, they are very, very strong, and even today also it is very strong. Look at the location of Bhutan. On north, it has one powerful nation, that is China. So towards the south, it has another powerful nation, that is India. So now, so this is struggling, right? So because of the China wants to dominate and India wants to counter, and a small nation is getting struggled now. But whatever the cause that India is fighting for, this is the right cause to protect the sovereignty of Bhutan. Now, look at the document. So, in the year 2017, China attempted to extend a road in a sector of DOKLAM, triggering a standoff between China and India and a demarch against China from Bhutan. So this is the statement that was given by Jawaharlal Nehru when he visited Bhutan in the year 1958. He said that some may think that since India is a great and powerful country and Bhutan a small one, the farmer might wish to exercise pressure on Bhutan. It is therefore essential that I make it clear to you, you means Bhutan, that our only wish is that you should remain an independent country, choosing your own way of life and taking the path of progress according to your will. Meaning, this assurance that was given by Jawaharlal Nehru at that particular time has strengthened the morale of Bhutan. Look at this. Look at this now. Look at the strength of Bhutan now. It was based on this promise that Indian assistance to Bhutan, initially by helping fund Bhutan's 5-year plans that began. At the time, Bhutan has no currency of its own and was the country with the lowest per capita GDP in South Asia. Today, Bhutan's per capita GDP is, look at this, $2,870, whereas India's is $1,850. Look at this. Of course, you cannot say that Bhutan is a small country you can manage. It is nothing like that. In fact, in Bhutan, today Bhutan has got its own currency. Please remember the name of the currency. This is called Bhutanese Guldram. Bhutanese Guldram. So that is the currency of Bhutan. So, but when it comes to this particular strength of this GDP, so this is very much higher when compared to India now. All right. So kindly remember this. Now, see here, one possible question is that what is the currency of this Bhutan? Please remember this is Guldram. Right, look at this. Today, Bhutan's per capita GDP is $2,870, while India's is $1,850. That growth has been facilitated by India's assistance, but is based on Bhutan's freedom to develop the way it wanted, meaning allowing a country to develop in a manner that it wants. That is nothing but respecting the sovereignty of other nations. Look at this. It will take great skill and wisdom to resolve this challenge from the power. In north, you have China, and the power in the south, that is India. The two Asian powers face off with Bhutan at the center at this delicate situation. India and China, as well as Bhutan, must manage its sovereignty. It's no small thing and it should not be ignored. See here, why I have given these points is that some of the intellectuals, they are saying that, so these are the general things that will happen. The tensions will be mounted sometimes. So you just leave it and the things will be settled. Right. So by looking at the present situation, these things will not be settled on its own. Right. Just now I told you. So in a Chinese troops and Indian troops, they have established the tents and they are standing over there. right? And China is repetitively giving warnings to India that your troops must be withdrawn. And China yesterday went to an extent that it announced the Indian troops are going back. But Indian troops are not going back. Indian troops are still there. Maybe once one diplomatic understanding comes into the picture, then there may be a possibility that Indian troops may be withdrawn and Chinese troops may also be withdrawn from Doklam region. Now, now look at this. Just think about this. Bhutan should not become a yam to be crushed, but it should become a bridge of understanding between vastly different cultures and politics. Different cultures and politics are nothing but on one side you have China and on the other side you have India, right? So meaning, so Bhutan is expected to become a bridge of understanding. So between these two vastly different cultures and politics. Right. So that's all regarding, this DOKLAM issue, and hope it will be settled very soon, amicably. Hopefully, no war will take place. If there is a war, it's a huge damage for both the nations, and both the nations are nuclear. They are possessing nuclear powers. So obviously, the war between these two nations is not at all a good sign in entire Asian region, and hopefully the things will be fine at the earliest. So the governments are trying, and hopefully amicable solution will come into the picture, and hopefully Bhutan's sovereignty will be respected and protected. And that's all for the day. I stop at this stage and I'll see you tomorrow with the more current affairs. Thank you so much. Take very good care of yourself. Thank you.